Good afternoon. This is Larry with Larry Political Point of View. I wanted to talk to you tonight about scammers. It's a huge problem. Last year, 2023, there was $170 billion scammers got from our citizens, our elderly, conning people out of their money. So I want to talk about it because it's all over. They send you emails to hook you. They will call you to try to hook you. They will try to hook you on Facebook, Instagram, X, which was also known as Twitter. And their goal is to extort you and to get the elderly to it's easier for them to prey on them and send money. It's all over the world. India is a big part of it, but not so is Nigeria and some other countries that are involved in this. And my question is, why does the United States stop it? You don't see them taking actions. You don't see them passing laws. They talk about it, but they don't put any actions to it. And for me, that's a problem. And the reason why it's a problem is because I've heard, seen firsthand what this does to our American people. We have the best technology in the world. We have the greatest companies that provide cell phone service to us. T-Mobile, AT&T, US Mobile, companies that are just not looking out for us. They want to provide us a service, but they don't protect us when scammers calls us. What is Facebook doing to stop this issue? Absolutely nothing. Twitter, X, Instagram. What's the United States doing to stop it? Nothing. There's independent sources that are hackers that are trying to stop it. And they're trying to protect as best as they can as a network together, as a group, to prevent it. But still, they're not able to stop every single one. And why does the United States hire them, form a team, and stop the nonsense? These teams that I'm talking about, for instance, they have YouTube channels that you can search for and watch them. They will actually send the information to the local police. They'll also send it to India and try to get them to do something. And sometimes it takes years to get them to do something. It's not an easy thing to do. These men and women take time out of their life to be with their families to stop this, because they've had loved ones that have fallen prey to this problem. There's people that from Nigeria pretend to be a woman, and they will bait you with pictures. They will bait you with your older man or your older woman that are looking, and they will con them saying, I need money for this. Can you send it? I love you, babe. And it's just all fake. I've seen men and women on talk shows talk about how thought they were loved. Some men thought that they were falling in love with a younger woman, and they would actually leave his wife, who devoted to him over the years, and he just ups and leaves because he thinks he's going to date a younger woman that's going to make him feel more alive. When in reality, he's talking to another man, most generally. They refuse to send you a text. They refuse to talk to you over Zoom. They've refused to call you. Oh, their phone's cracked or this or that. The goal is they don't want to be identified, to be turned in. Possibly be local person who wants your money, but they don't want to be caught. They gather intel on you as they're talking to you. You know, one of the scams I saw was from Amazon, and they get you to open up your bank account to look to see what's, and you're only supposed to see it, not them, the hacker, but the hacker's seeing how much money you've got to see how much money he can pull from you. And these are old retirees that have saved their money up all their life so they would have something to live off of the rest of their life as they retire and enjoy their retirement. And these scammers will pull 30,000, 300,000, and in some cases even higher than that. They are gullible. They believe you because you say that you're telling them the truth and you're doing this to send them money back. Yet you made a mistake when you're returning the money, that instead of $300, it was $30,000. Then they want you to send it back to them, and they were able to change to what made it look like on your end that you made a mistake. Instead of pushing 300, you accidentally did an extra zero. And then they want you to send the money back to them, and they're, in the meantime, they're pulling money out of your savings while you're not looking, and then put it in your checking account to make sure that you made that mistake. And then you send them the 30,000 back to them, and then you go to the bank and you realize the money's been taken out of your savings. These are scum of the earth. And I'm tired of the United States not protecting its citizens. And they need to be doing something. These are retired military men and women. These are our grandparents, our mothers. And they're getting scammed. And some of them feel so ashamed that they end up taking their life. Committing suicide. And what is the United States doing? Nothing. I've looked everywhere. We have programs like 60 Minutes, they talk about it. Sometimes you'll hear CNN or Fox talk about it. But they ever do a follow-up on it? No. And that's my problem. My problem is our government, that we put people in the office to protect us, and they're not doing it. When a country loses $170 billion to the scammers, you can see why they're coming out of woodwork. We need to make this so much aware to it that they need to be talking about it over the news. Don't answer scam emails. Don't answer scam callers. Don't fall for it. That when you get an email that someone's trying to charge you $399 from Amazon, go on your app. Talk to them. Tell them you got this email. Send them a link to it so they can see it. And then you can also see that it's fake. It's a shame that countries that don't have laws or enough enforcement to stop it. India, Nigeria are third world countries. We are one of the best countries in this world, and we don't have the manpower or the time to save our citizens from this scam. And it's getting worse, and getting so much worse. Where is the law enforcement stopping this? Where is our investigators investigating this, and why are they not putting an end to it? I have a friend, I won't mention his name, but he's almost 60 years old. And he got involved in this woman overseas, and he was planning on going seeing her. And every time he would ask her, well, where are you from? I don't care where you're from. I just want to know where you are so I can come and see you. Well, finally, he got an investigator involved, private investigator. And the private investigator told him that this is where the calls are coming from, and it was from Nigeria, and they nailed it down to a radius on a small block. So he decided that he was going to go on this trip, and he wanted the private investigator to go with him. And the investigator paid his own ticket there because he wanted to put it into it. So they got there. That next morning, they went over and knocked on the door. This man answered the door, and they told him why they were there, and they asked him if he had been talking to him. I mean, they had all kinds of evidence, chat logs, photos. So he called to his wife, and his wife came out, and he ended up blaming his wife in this scam. Can you believe that? She had nothing to, she didn't even know why they were there. Well, they finally got in, and they were looking at the logs and stuff, and they found out that through the email that he was the one that was doing it. And the man was so sick, my friend was so sick, that he was actually talking to another man about his feelings and about his problems, and looking to someone to co-slide with, to fill that need and whatnot. He was so ashamed that he went home and he went on a drunken binge for not weeks, not days, but for months. 6 months of his life he drank so much because he was so embarrassed and whatnot. He's still struggling with it even to this day. And it's a shame that he went through that. There are women locally in the United States that does the same thing. And they're after your money. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to socialize with you. And then who's on the other end? Someone from Nigeria. Seriously. United States should be contacting Nigeria and India and getting them to work with them and getting to stop this behavior. It's horrible. And it's hard on men and women to stop this. I've seen women fall victim to this. Their husband died 3-4 years later. They were missing that comfort that they had with their husband. They go looking for comfort, and they believe that they found a rich man and he's going to provide for them, and in the meantime he's gaining information from her, and then he turns the apples on her and he scams her out of the money. There are mules from India that are here to visit, from schools, colleges. They're here to work, and they start using mules. The owners of these businesses in India are making millions of dollars off of them. And so this is how that works. They get a phone call from a local person saying, okay, I need you to go and get this package from this elderly man. I need you to show up at this house, show him the dollar bill, and there's a number on it, and he's going to give you that information. And so he's sending the money, telling the old person, elderly person, okay, there's a guy's going to show up at your door with $1. There's going to be a code on there. I'm going to send you that code so that you know who that is, and you give him the package. Well, it turned out that this man who was supposed to be the mule sent his wife, and she was from India, newly into the United States, and this was in LA, California. So she goes to the door to retrieve it, but she did not know that Media Tridia, was there with a sting, and she walked right into it. She calls her husband after they talked to her for a while, and to let him know where she's at and she's stuck, and they want him to come to the door, but he refuses. And then he says, well, I don't know what she's after. She was only supposed to go after flowers and a package, normal excuses. But in the meantime, she was getting scammed. She was put in a hard place, and then he blames it all on her. She's in a new country. She doesn't have friends. She doesn't know who to turn to. And they quickly knew, investigators knew that this was going on. They pressed so hard on her husband and her uncle. The uncle was the upper boss. He sends the money directly to their head boss, which is the owner of the business. And her cut was only for $100. Then her husband would have took it and turned it over to her uncle, and her husband would get $100. The uncle would get $1,000 out of 300,000, 30,000, doesn't matter. He'd get 1,000 out of it, and then he would send it over. They would put it in an account, and then it would have been wired over to his account, and then the scammer in India would get his cut, which is another $1,000. So when it's done said with, the owner of the business would get approximately $27,000 out of $30,000. He has a nice payday, and he has all these people working for him, and then they have all these mules that have been brought over. That lady one of the ladies that they had, she actually thought this was bad. She went to her local police department, didn't know that much English, but she was telling them that she was being contacted with a family member that wanted her to go and pick up this package from this elderly, and she was suspecting that it was drugs or money laundering. The police department shrugged it off and did absolutely nothing. True story. It's in California. So she didn't give up, though. Next day, she went back to another police department, locally where the man was. She was telling them what was going on. The sergeant in that police department realized that she was telling the truth, and he saw it in her eyes. And he even says that he was scared for her. So they stuck with it. They went with the sting. So that afternoon, quick work from the sergeant putting the whole team together. They went and showed up. An undercover officer proposed as her, and they went in and they got the money from the old man, told him what was going on, and filled him what was going on. They only used their own fake money, and then they were to the upper mule, which was her uncle, again, and they gave him the money, and they were able to trace it because they had a small GPS, and they were able to trace it all the way up to where the money went back to India. They had the Indian police involved, and they were able to arrest. One sad part of it is they were arrested, and within 2 hours they were back on the streets, back into another group apartment, operating the scam again. Didn't stop them. The owners of these businesses are so moved away that it's hard to bust them. And so they just keep building their empire. I mean, I've seen pictures where they flew over here to Florida and had this vacation and went to partying and dancing during spring break, and then went back to their home country laughing and enjoying the scams and talking about it. Why are they here in the United States? And again, where is our law enforcement? I'm a huge law enforcement protector. I believe in our law enforcement, and I believe in our police. Doesn't matter who they are. But my problem is we have a government, federal government, that don't put a stop to this. We can screen these calls that are coming in from Europe, coming in from India, coming in from Africa, screening them, getting to stop, getting them arrested, stopping our citizens, senior citizens, and taking advantage of them. This is the same thing that my other view has been going on. Want to expose. We have an election in 2024, and they need to be talking about these topics. Yes, they talk about other topics and what they can do, and taxes went up, but this is a huge problem, don't you think? $170 billion going out of our United States. Our senior citizens are losing their money to thieves, scum of the earth, and they laugh about it. We're the joke, us Americans, because they do it each and way in every way they can. And we need to have laws forced and put in place and save our elderly, our veterans that have served our military. We need protecting our citizens, and every bit of it needs to be done, and it's not being done. We need to be asking our leaders, why are you not putting a stop to this? Why are you not putting action to it? They're sitting there and doing nothing. And this needs to be part of our 2020 presidential election. What are you going to do to stop this crime and protect our citizens? Putting that $170 billion back in the United States hands, and not a foreign adversary, corrupt, money laundering scum of the earth. I'm asking you, we need to let our leaders know that we're tired of this. We're tired of the United States protecting us. We want a government that we love, and we love our freedom, but they want them to protect us. Do your job. If you can't do your job, get out of the office or excuse yourself so they can get another leader in place and they do something about it. I believe in sending money to Israel. I believe sending money to Ukraine for help. I'm willing and believe that we need to be helping other nations. But we have to protect our citizens first. And if we're not doing that, then we need to be asking questions. What are we doing? There are times, like right now, I have tears in my eyes because I feel the pain that people go through when they lose money. It's horrible. They don't know where their next meal comes from. They don't know if they can pay for their medications or not. It's all great that you're cutting medicines down in half, but let's put things in place to protect our elderly citizens and the vulnerable. Let's put an end to it. Let's get busy and find people that will put in office that will do their job and protect us. There are so many bureaucrats that get in office, they get around these other people and allow them to be influenced, and they're making thousands and $1 million, and they're setting themselves up to when they do get out of office. And I'm even talking about ex-presidents, and they're sitting there making millions of dollars going around doing these speeches and stuff. Why don't you use your power and your strength and influence and go visit these countries and go out, talk to the government and say, hey, our citizens are being taken by your crooked people, and we will put a stop to it. You want our money to go into your country, India, Nigeria? Let's do it the right way. We're tired of our citizens being stolen and money going into your country while our citizens are suffering, and a lot of them are so embarrassed that they're taking their own life. We have so much drug problem in this country. We have scammers that are taking billions of dollars out of this country. It's all connected. It's all unnecessary. I was so surprised that China Mafia is involved in working with the Indian government and the crookedness. There are some politicians in India that have been arrested because of the Chinese Mafia is working with them and teaching their call centers to trace them back the money. Russian Mafia is also involved. Russia and China are working together to work hard on the United States, wear them down. The espionage is so rapid and tearing everything apart. They're going in inch way and inch way. We need to be protecting our borders. We need to be protecting our citizens. And I, personally, am sick and tired of it. I was going to make another video tonight on Iran. That will be my next video. But I just get tired of being scammed and things are not being talked about politically. They want to talk about Trump and what's going on in his next trial, and they want to talk about Biden. That's all great. That's part of the political arena. But the old stuff they used to talk about, they don't talk about it anymore. They don't talk about these scams. When we go to the rallies, all we got, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But they won't answer the hard questions, and we need to be asking them. The reporters need to be asking the hard questions. Hey, we've got $170 billion in 2023 that we're taking from our citizens, elderly, and been sent over to India or Nigeria. What are we doing about it to stop the problem? The hard questions need to be answered, and we need to keep answering them. I heard Texas Paul mention it and talk about it. But what I love for him to do is really go into depth. Interview some of these citizens, senior citizens that the scammers got to their money. Make it aware all over, and so that the law enforcement feels the heat. The FBI, the CIA gets involved because they don't want the heat on them. I understand that our law enforcement are busy interviewing and doing other crimes and stuff. But man, if they don't have the manpower, then they need to come up with it. Our DOJ needs to be doing something about this as well. That's fine that you want to investigate Apple and getting Trump and all this other stuff and Biden investigated. But where's the investigation into this crime that goes on every second of day? We don't hear about it, do we? Now, I'm trying to keep my videos short, but some of these videos that are long, they're important. And the reason why we're important is because I'm trying to make aware of things and whatnot. I have a voice. We all have a voice. and we all take actions and talk about stuff, we can put an end to this. This is Larry with Political Point of View. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Let your family members know that they can come and listen to one of the sources out there about this problem. We're going to be talking about different subjects that the media doesn't talk about. Our politicians don't talk about it. They want to avoid it. We hear so much about their southern border, but they won't have a plan to fix it. Putting up a border wall is fine, but you got to go to the source of the problem to stop it. This is the hard talk and whatnot. Have a good day. Thank you for listening to me.